And I'm back with more Jewel Destinies. I wanted to get this done yesterday, but I wasn't feeling it because I was tired. But now I'm well rested in another day. Let's see if I can pull some of the trial before work. Let's go. Today we're also going to meet Simon Blackquill. That should be interesting. One of the more popular characters in the franchise. I think he's good. He's better than Clavier. He's better than Godot. Personally. But one prosecutor, you've seen them all. So I'm not as enthralled. But I think as a character, I think I might like him and play him better in practice. We'll see. You okay? You've been really antsy since we got here. I'm just excited. This is my first court case, after all. Yeah, real ball of excitement. I just know what she needs. Athena! Did you ever learn about indoor-outdoor voices? I'm just trying to show you the best way to relieve pre-trial jitters. By scaring the daylights out of me? No, I find that shouting, "I'm fine!" on a loud voice really relieves stress. It's part of my Chords of Steel voice workout, and it's a must before every trial. You want me to shout? Here? That's right. I'll go first. I'm Apollo Justice, and I'm fine! Alright, I'm Athena Sykes, and I'm fine. Huh. I think that actually worked. I thought it might help. Always works for me. An old friend of mine in junior high used to say it all the time. I see. Proven remedy to calm the soul. I like it. Hey, how about we finish off with a race around the courthouse? The point is to relieve stress, not to get totally exhausted. What's with all the racket? Oh, Mr. Wright! Just a little voice workout. What's with the suit? Oh, this? I was thinking about getting my attorney's badge back, that's all. That's all? That's huge news, but why now? I have a feeling I'll be needing it. I'll be needed in the courtroom again. But we could talk about that another time. No fair! Inquiring minds want to know. But wow. So used to him in his usual laid-back clothes. That suit makes him look like $1 million. By the way, have you heard about the prosecutor assigned to this case? Yeah, he's serving time, but before that he was a prosecutor. He also uses psychology? That's right. I've heard rumors about how he was back before his conviction. Using the power of suggestion, he can make even the most stalwart defendants confess. Psychology in the courtroom. Been hearing about that a lot lately. So he must be a pretty scary guy, considering he was a prison inmate. So they say. They also say he'll cut you down if you talk too much. I knew he was going to be bad news. It's probably just hyperbole. At least I hope so, for your sake. Wait, so is it true or not? Let's just say you should be concise. Choose your words carefully. If you'd like to keep that head of yours attached, that is. Better tone down my Chords of Steel. So, are you ready? Might be a good idea to check the court record again before stepping into the ring. Right, Mr. Wright, but I'm fine. I'll be watching from the gallery. Good luck. Thanks! Okay, let's do this! The odds of pulling this one off are ridiculously low, but that's nothing new. Believe in our client. Seek the truth. That's all we can do. Hang in there, Mayor Tenma. Here comes justice! I was wondering when he was going to do that again. And yeah, even into a new game, it's harder to like subtly change voices here and there. But tone of voice adds a lot, I think. Making Apollo a little more raspy and gravelly is kind of the best that I can do. Because they are essentially the same character. It's not even fair. At least with Athena, there's a little bubbliness in there. Court is now in session for the trial of Mayor Tenma. Apollo Justice, defense team leader, is ready. I'd know that big booming voice anywhere. As chipper as ever, eh, Mr. Justice? But who is that young lady next to you? I'm Athena Sykes, Mr. Justice's partner, and fresh out of junior partner, fresh out of law school. Well now, full of beans too. Excellent. Makes an old man feel young. Full of beans? I've never heard of that. Now for the prosecution. It appears the prosecution is not ready. Never fear, for I shall explain. It's simply a minor procedural complication, Your Honor. The prosecutor for this case is being escorted from prison as we speak. Prison? Oh yes, I forgot. I almost forgot he's currently serving time.
Yup, Prosecutor Blackquill's an inmate.
That's a lot of blood.
But even a convicted murderer still got a job to do and duties to perform.
He's tall. Who's with his back to us over there? That's him. I'm sure of it. Prosecutor Blackquill. Is the prosecution ready? Enough jabbering. Get on with it already. Of course, forgive me! Why are all the people related to this case so scary? Very well, Prosecutor Blackquill, your opening statement. Ah! What's the matter? Must we continue to fritter away time like this? It is all right there in the indictment. An opening statement would be pointless. Pointless? Well, looks like the cat, or in this case the prosecutor, has the judge's tongue. But we need an opening statement as an overview of the case at hand. Well then, your baldness, if it is so important, why don't you do the honors? Who, me? There is a term for people who whine and fuss about how they need silly, useless things. And then decide they no longer want them once it's theirs. A selfish old fool. Huh? Wait, was that the opening statement? Old dotards such as you were a plague upon the young. I pity your poor grandchildren. Or is it your great-grandchildren? All of these years I thought the opening statement was the prosecutor's job. But I suppose I could give it a try. It might be a nice change of pace. What? He actually fell for that? That must have been the power of suggestion. The opening statement. Let's see. The victim was one Rex Cuby, alderman of Nine Tails Vale, and the defendant, Mayor Tenma, mayor of Tenma Town, is accused of his murder. And why, pray tell, was the mayor arrested? His prints were on the murder weapon. Plus, he had a motive. The elimination of the biggest roadblock to his municipal merger. The caretaker and the secretary, other potential suspects, also have alibis. And his daughter, who was also in the vicinity at the time of the incident, has no motive. So, in a nutshell, I'd have to say the charges against the defendant are incontrovertible. Bravo, your boss. Your years of experience shine bright like your head. Flattery will get you everywhere. He's playing Simon Says with the judge. Moving right along. Let's hear from our first witness for the day, Detective Fulbright. Yeah. Witness, please state your name and occupation. I am the detective assigned to the case, Bobby Fulbright. Oh, and I'll be keeping tabs on old Blackquill here. I also heard you'd provide protection if it ever came to that. It would seem I have been sorely underestimated. Wait, who's protecting who from what now? Still, I truly believe anyone could turn their life around, even old Blackquill here! Ah! Fulbright. Save your platitudes for funerals. Get on with your statement. That's the spirit! Justice must be swift and true! I see it in your eyes! There's hope for your rehabilitation and return to society! I will never give up on you! He doesn't seem to intimidate him at all, does he? Well, you know what they say, ignorance is bliss. So that's why Detective Fulbright was assigned to Blackquill. He's so oblivious. No, let's have your first statement, Detective Fulbright. You got it! But first I'd like to say that the defense that justice will ultimately prevail. Alderman Cubey was murdered with a spear that had been on the wall. Fingerprints of the defendant, Mayor Tenma, were found on the murder weapon. At the time, Alderman Cubey was asleep from a drug he unwittingly ingested. Mayor Tenma attacked the helpless victim, impaling him like a human shish kebab. But the sudden pain jolted the victim awake, and he grabbed a statue and fought back. Alderman Cubey been slipped some kind of sleep-inducing drug? That's right. The accused was scared because the alderman was a former pro wrestler. So he slipped him a drug to make sure he'd be out cold and defenseless. Here's the autopsy report to prove it. And the victim managed to attack his attacker, despite being impaled by the spear? That sounds almost superhuman. Is it even possible? Well, he was a former pro wrestler, after all. That spear was probably nothing more than a mosquito bite.
Objection!
Not so fast. Don't try to brush it off as saying the alderman had been a pro wrestler. You really expect us to believe he could fight back after being skewered? Never heard of the incredible feats of which a man is capable of in a pinch? Like the samurai of yore, wrestlers can battle through intense pain. It sharpens their senses. I used to talk about it with a former wrestler I met in the clink. Oh no, still sounds a little far-fetched. Does it now? Then perhaps we should test the theory on you, with the edge of my blade. I didn't sign up for that! And so your life is spared. For now. Please let the shackles be made of titanium. I don't want to die. My investigations are as thorough as they are foolproof, or my name isn't Fulbright. I vow to resign immediately if I can make a false arrest. The accused prints were also on the weapon, and he's the only person without an alibi. Quite decisive evidence. Wouldn't you agree, your baldness? The defendant is sounding rather guiltier by the minute. Is the judge leaning towards a guilty verdict? Trial's barely just begun. What's more, a curious rumor about the accused is making the rounds. They say he seeks the murder for the purpose of freeing Tenma Taro from his imprisonment. Truth be told, I can think of no real reason to show interest in that backwaters burg. Perhaps he's a complete nutter, and really to seek to release an imaginary demon. Either way, he is raving mad, and more than capable of murdering the Alder. That mayor's a strange one, all right. I heard he went to a blood drive, but instead of donating, he tried to make a withdrawal. There will be no gossiping in my court. Your baldness. Please take a gander at those charms placed across his cranium. I hear they're meant to keep him safe from the possession of the demon Tenma Taro. Then again, perhaps he's already under the demon's spell. Behold! The lunatic appears poised to lunge at you at any moment.
Hold it!
Hey, the rumors and quirks of Mayor Tenma have no relevance to this case. Besides, those charms on his head, they're just a fashion statement. I think. Come to think of it, such things don't seem relevant to the case, do they? The prosecution will refrain from dragging our client's reputation through the mud. Oh, what a dreadfully fearsome lass we have here. Thanks for that lifeline, Athena. Careful! He's got the judge dancing into the palm of his hand. He's a jerk. Power of suggestion is one of the more powerful tools in his arsenal. He's trying to manipulate everyone's impression to suit his objective. This guy really is bad news. In any case, it seems the victim did manage to defend himself, despite being impaled. What sort of weapon did he use against his attacker? None other than this statue right here. It appears to be a statue of two strange creatures locked in battle. Two yokai, to be exact. On one side is Nine-Tailed Fox. On the other, Tenma Taro. Quite interesting if you think about it. It's as though this case were rendered in art. Mr. Justice, you may proceed with your cross-examination. Present Fox and Demon with some pain. Okay.
Objection!
Did the alderman really strike the mayor? What? Are you questioning my sense of justice? Uh-huh. Your so-called justice needs to find itself a pair of legs to stand on. You claim the alderman struck back at a mayor when he put it through a spear. Put a spear through him. But the statue he supposedly used to defend himself creates a major hole in your theory. It would appear the defense has a counter-argument. Very well, let's hear what the defense thinks. There are no fingerprints on the supposed crucial piece of evidence. And if you look at the crime scene photo, you'll notice that the alderman isn't wearing gloves. I believe he's quite gloveless indeed. If he touched the statue with his bare hands, he should have left fingerprints. Detective Fulbright, you did take that into account during your investigation, didn't you? Ah! This can't be happening! Did I arrest the wrong man? You did it, Apollo. You knocked him right off his high horse. Well, it's just a point in our favor. Who do you suppose clubbed the mayor if it wasn't the alderman? Well, if it wasn't him, that means someone else must have clobbered him. You mean there was a third party in the chamber? Exactly! And this could be the big break we're looking for. And there does seem to be a hole in the prosecution's argument. Prosecutor Blackquill, would you care to respond to the defense's assertion? Nope. The least you could do is look at me? Your mind is as dull as an unhoned blade, Justice Dono. Huh? He's been watching too many samurai flicks. This is part of the reason that Blackquill is kinda... He's anachronistic for a reason, and it does get old a little bit. But, again, his tone of voice is what's really driving me here. It will take far more than that to cut down Simon Blackquill. A whelp such as you has no hope against my superior swordsmanship. This is a trial, not a sword fight. There's a perfectly good explanation for the lack of prints on the statue. You might recall that blood-stained cloth was found at the scene of the crime. Well, it just so happens that the blood was the mayor's. So, what are you getting at? Hone your mind, boy. Why was there blood on the cloth? Solve that riddle and you shall see that the hole you thought you found was an illusion. Let's see. How was that cloth used? Maybe the alderman wrapped the statue in the cloth? In short, he wasn't touching the statue directly when he used it to strike back. Precisely. Bully for you, boy. No, it was nothing. Apollo, don't let him start manipulating you, too. You just closed the hole for the prosecution. I did? Ugh. Fuck. I did. Right. The statue wrapped in cloth would leave no fingerprints is as plain as day. But this also proves there are no holes in our theory of the alderman striking back. Oops. Dork. Let's see. Keep going. Now do you see how dull your mind is? I'll make sure to sharpen it next time. A particularly frightening inmate once told me. He always tenderly honed his blades before he went to work, like the samurai of yore. Samurai? Sounds more like a homicidal maniac to me. Actually, he was working in the prison kitchen at the time. Which the inmate was a murdering samurai prison chef? I don't get it. It would seem the victim and his killer were the only ones there after all. I was kind of attached to that hole. Now what? Apollo, I just thought of something. If they didn't find anyone's fingerprints on the statue, who's to say someone else other than the alderman didn't hit the mayor with it? Why didn't I think of that? Anybody could have not left prints. Then who, pray tell, struck the mayor with a statue? Please, illuminate us with your wisdom, young lady. There's only one answer. The real killer. Prove the existence of this real killer, then. What evidence have you? Oh, I'll give you evidence, all right. Athena, you sure about this? To borrow your words, Apollo, I'm fine. Take a look at this. Black feathers and tracks allegedly from a yokai were found at the scene. I believe they're from the third party who struck the mayor with a statue. Is the defense actually suggesting some sort of monster killed the alderman? That's exactly what I'm suggesting.
Objection!
Athena, you just lost whatever credibility we have left. Oh, guess I got carried away. Mr. Justice, we've no time to deal with objections between members of the defense. Sorry. It's just, she's still a kid. Oh, you meanie! I'm reporting this to Mr. Wright. If the court believes the feathers and tracks are from a yokai, I have that right. No. I believe they're a fabrication. The real killer wants us to believe some sort of monster killed the alderman. Interesting. And why do you suppose the killer would do that? Why, indeed. Mr. Justice, you seem as new to this as your partner is. Ow. I'm not reporting that to Mr. Wright. Hoy, Fulbright. Explain to his baldness what these brats are missing. You know, the who and why behind those feathers and tracks. What? You mean you can explain all that? Investigative prowess is without equal. I'm starting to think I chose the wrong profession. Very well, let's hear about these so-called yokai feathers and tracks. This entire case centers on one man's attempt to crush opposition to the municipal merger. Mayor Tenma panicked when the amazing Ninetales helped embolden the protesters, so he stoked the village's fears by fabricating a monster. The strange feathers and tracks he planted made it look like a yokai was the killer. Those feathers and tracks stoked the villagers' fears? Absolutely! He knew exactly how to prey on the superstitious minds. Those feathers only gave weight to the idea that the alderman was slayed by a demon. The accursed demon Tenma Taro, that is. Tenma what now? Tenma Taro, the legendary demon locked away in the village's forbidden chamber. From a young age, the villagers are taught to fear a great black-feathered demon. And thus they were blinded to other, more plausible explanations. Hold on for a second. Before we start letting our imaginations run wild, isn't there something else we should be... Isn't there someone else we should consider a suspect? Mr. Justice, please explain yourself. On the day of the incident, there was a special event held at QB Manor. And as part of the event, there was someone dressed in the likeness of Tenma Taro. Obviously, that person's much more likely to suspect than any legendary demon.
Objection!
Dullard, you are playing right into the killer's mind games. What? Listen here. The feathers and tracks were merely red herrings. The villagers believe the murder to be the work of the real Tenma Taro. However, the police believe the person in the Tenma Taro suit is the killer. Ugh. The defendant sought to sow this confusion in order to defer and deflect blame away from himself. However, he was knocked unconscious by the alderman. And thus, a mentally deficient mayor was caught red-handed at the scene of the crime.
Objection!
Do you honestly believe Mayor Tenma could do something so stupid?
Objection!
The evidence speaks for itself. Fulbright! Right. It was the mayor's last-ditch effort to stop the opposition before things got crazy. The amazing Ninetales was fueling both the yokai craze and the anti-merger movement. Plus, he's one of the better-known masked wrestlers and hometown favorite. That's why the mayor panicked and set out on the path of injustice. But do the people of Ninetales Vale really believe a yokai is behind the crime? Yokai sightings are an everyday event there, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I must say, a crime that preys upon innocent, impressionable minds. Just so, a particularly silver-tongued inmate once had the following words from me. The innocence of heart, or the innocent of heart, are the easiest prey. You don't say! Was that inmate a con artist? No. He was framed for the murder of his beloved. I actually feel sorry for the poor chap. So, he wasn't the predator but the prey? Yes, well, now then, the defense may proceed with its cross-examination. Where is it? What the heck? I'm supposed to get... Oh, I'm supposed to press it. Oh.
Hold it!
I thought I had the blackmail letter. This is what gives me said letter. But it doesn't add up. If what you say is true, why top it off with murder? What do you mean? You claim that our client planted the yokai evidence to stoke the villagers' fears. If that's so, then why not stop there? Why murder Alderman Kilby? Excellent point. It is, isn't it? Your Honor agrees that there's no Your Honor agrees there's no reason for the murder.
Objection!
Perhaps the killing was on the spur of the moment. You're saying it wasn't premeditated? From the outset, I had no intention of paying heed to any of your babble. However, the fact is, the mayor made a startling discovery. Startling discovery? I don't like this. Why don't I like the sound of that? Alderman Cuby's secret identity. Apollo? I think he has figured out who the alderman's identity is. But even if he has, why would it be a motive to commit murder? This is not good. This patch of fur was discovered at the crime scene. It is from the mask worn by the amazing Ninetales. Therefore, we can conclude that this mask was at the crime scene. But why would it have been there? The victim was a former pro wrestler and member of the anti-merger movement. Need I say more? Well, could it really be? Your baldness has had an epiphany, I see. Our victim, Rex Kilby, was the amazing Ninetales, and the mayor's discovery of this fact was his motive for murder. No! Order! Order! What a shocking development. A motive clearer than crystal clear. What do we do now? I don't think they would tie the alderman's secret identity to the mayor's motive for murder. At least, at last, we reached my real point. Why did the alderman have to forge a secret identity? Does it not pique your interest, your baldness? I admit it does. It is odd that he had to create this other persona just to secretly participate in the anti-merger movement. Very astute of you. Right. Now take a look at this. Ugh. If you value your dearest life, you will merge Ninetales Vale with Tenma Town. This blackmail letter was found in Alderman Kilby's pocket. What? At present, the alderman's wife is in the hospital, And that letter is clear evidence the mayor was blackmailing him by threatening her life. Wait, didn't the blackmail letters sent to Mayor Tenma go missing? Right after the alderman's murder? You think maybe the killer took it off him during the murder? And planted it in the alderman's pocket? It's possible. But we don't have any proof that that was what happened. Talk about being up a creek without a paddle. Mayor Tenma would have had a clean getaway if he had just planted the yokai things. But he was knocked out by the sudden decision to kill. He was knocked out cold by the sudden decision to kill the Amazing Ninetales. So it was the Amazing Ninetales counterattack that brought the entire crime to light. Wait a sec. He's claiming the mayor killed the alderman after planting the evidence? And the mayor was knocked out cold immediately after that? Detective Fulbright, please add that previous statement to your testimony.
Objection!
Detective Fulbright, your sense of justice is anything but fair. What's this? You dare question my justice again? Yes, and I'm gonna prove it. Take a look at this photo. This is the crime scene photo. Just what does it prove? It proves when the feathers and tracks were planted. But I already told you, they were planted before the murder. The defendant planted the yokai evidence, then was knocked out cold while killing the victim. But that would be impossible. If you look right here, it's clear when the feathers and tracks were left in the scene.
Take that!
Aren't you just pointing to the yokai feathers? Yes. See how the feathers are on top of the blood? And the tracks are made in blood? In other words, the yokai evidence could only have resulted after the murder. Then the mayor must have planted the evidence after killing him. But you said it yourself. The mayor had been knocked unconscious. There would have been no time for him to plant any evidence at all. Therefore, there must have been someone else besides the mayor and alderman at the crime scene. There must be some kind of mistake. Order! Order! Where is your evidence? You can't possibly have any, can you? Evidence? Oh, I have evidence. In fact, I have an eyewitness testimony for you. You do? But how? Is my vaunted sense of justice really just half-baked? He's taking this really hard. Mr. Justice, what is this testimony regarding a third party you claim to have? I have it right here, Your Honor. It's a sworn testimony of Mr. Tenma's daughter. The witness, Jinxie Tenma, saw a yokai in the hallway after stumbling upon the scene. It was the demon Tenma Taro. He's the source of those feathers and tracks. Will somebody please say something? The defense will explain to the court exactly what he means. You dare to mock this court at justice itself? You're unfit to bear the name, boy. Your baldness. It appears our defense attorney here is delirious from exhaustion. Apollo? Think of something quick or you'll be held in contempt. What do you think I'm trying to do? Before you decide whether I should step down, please hear me out. Very well, Mr. Justice, I'm all ears, but you'd better explain yourself well. What was the yokai you were talking about? It's all in the statement here. Asserts that she saw him. After she discovered the crime scene and called the police, she came around the corner of the hall. was around here that she saw Tenma Taro fleeing towards the foyer. The defense asserts that whoever was impersonating this monster is the one who left those feathers and tracks behind, intentionally or otherwise. What? How incredibly unjust! Why haven't I heard about this before? This proved there was someone else. So the mayor wasn't the killer? Was it all a setup? Hey! The momentum has shifted! Good. Let's keep it up that way.
Objection!
Uh-oh. Ah, crap. Little do you realize, though you are in the midst of a fray, your sword is broken. My sword? I didn't know I had one to break. Are you implying there's a problem with my claim? Consider this. If this yokai impersonator had fled towards the foyer, that fool and that fop would have seen him. Fool and fop. Oh! You mean Filch and LaBelle. Now that you mention it. Both Phineas Filch and Florent LaBelle were in the foyer at the time. But they haven't stated that they saw a yokai, have they? Did you ever consider that yokai was but a figment of the little girl's imagination? Why didn't those two see the Tenma impersonator? Why don't we ask them ourselves? I was just about to say that myself. No, really, I was. The defense would like to call Mr. Phineas Filch, caretaker of the QB Manor, to the stand. I just know he had to have seen something. I suppose we can't ignore the fact the little girl believes she saw a monster. I trust you have no objections to the Justice's request, Mr. Blackquill. I understand that Mr. Filch is enjoying a nap out in the lobby. I knew that Tanuki was a rare find. But when we captured him, I didn't think he'd end up as a witness. Do with him as you will. Did he just say captured? No, I don't want to know. Very well then. Bailiff, please go wake up Mr. Filch and escort him to the witness stand. Ooh boy. Whew. Man. There we go. I'll take a break here. So we got through one testimony. Now it's time to get through another one. So we'll get to Filch's testimony in the next episode. Thanks for watching.